one and only Matt Dickstein. Matt, say hey to the people.
What's up, the people?
So I met Matt um, probably last year, right?
Yes. Yeah. If not earlier.
And did I meet you at the Thunderdome, which we'll definitely get into what
Yeah.
that is?
Yes.
Cool. So, um, Matt, ever since I moved to Atlanta, Matt has been a really good friend of mine. Any film questions that I have, I either ask him or Nathan usually. And this guy's super talented. But yeah, let's just get into what you do, man. Like, what got you into filmmaking?
Um, there was never a time that I wasn't into filmmaking. I always loved movies. I didn't know that I wanted to make films. Um, but I knew that I liked films. But I mean, even then early, like it was like 8 years old that I was like, oh, I want to do that. And it was actually like, um, for like most of my childhood, I couldn't get past the first scene of Jaws. Um, and I tried several times. I was like, I gotta see this movie. People like it. And then finally, when I finished it, I was like, oh my gosh, that's what I want. That's what I want to. I want to make Jaws for the rest of my life, because it's like it's funny and it's scary and it's at its core, it's about a guy who's just trying to do the best job he can do or whatever. And I don't know if it's necessarily my favorite movie, but it's the movie that got me into wanting to make films.
I mean, Bruce is on your iPhone wallpaper, so that's got to say something, right?
Yeah, and I've got you probably can't see. I don't really do like pops.
Hmm.
Yeah, even though I can see in the corner, I've got a couple pops. Those are Blade Runner pops, which is my other, definitely my favorite movie. But I do
Hmm.
have the Jaws Funko Pop. I was like at Target. I was like, yeah, I got to get that. So
That's awesome.
yeah.
What are some other movies that really inspired you?
Um, Apocalypse Now is probably up there, top 10, top five maybe. 2001: A Space Odyssey. I really love like Kubrick. I love like the kind of the golden age. I think the 70s is like considered like the golden age of film, and
Mm.
a lot of films in that area. And then I mean like the 80s, and even like people say like they don't make films like they used to, and that's fine to say that, but I mean they're still making amazing films like just last year, The Lighthouse or Midsummer or a bunch of just like A24 like is kind of where a lot of my favorite films right now, like I'd say like pretty consistently throughout the last like 5 or so years, my top films of the year have been A24 films. And Neon also does really great. They did Parasite. They did Portrait of a Lady on Fire, which is um, was in theaters, but obviously now no theaters are open right now. But you can see Portrait of a Lady on Fire on Hulu, and I thought it was fantastic.
I've not seen that, but I heard good things.
It's good.
So
It's
definitely
a
want to watch that.
slow burn film, um, beautiful cinematography, really good writing, great performances. There's like three people in the whole film, so it's like I love seeing a thing like The Lighthouse, or because like right now I'm trying to write a feature with as few like cast members and as few like because I want to do it for basically nothing. And so seeing something like The Lighthouse or Portrait of a Lady on Fire or even Parasite, like which like they obviously had a budget, but it's still like very small cast, very like small,
It's a
simple.
very condensed film.
Yeah,
It's clear that it didn't have a huge budget. Obviously, it's not a blockbuster, but I feel like that's just a testament to how like little you need to make an impactful film.
yeah. Like The Lighthouse is like one location, two people, kind of three. Parasite was like what, like eight people, two locations, like, and winning Best Picture is not necessarily the most prestigious thing I think right now in film at the Oscars or whatever, but like to capture it blew me away. It was one of my top five of last year, and So I love that. That's kind of like
I would
happy.
love to see more high profile actors in very low budget movies. Like that makes me think of what was it called? Knight Rider with
Yeah,
Jake Gyllenhaal.
yeah,
That movie is amazing, and it had such a little budget, and it was the dude's like very first like film. Whoever directed it, I forget his name, but that was one of my favorite films that year, and it was just Jake Gyllenhaal being an insane dude, and it was just a fantastic story.
yeah. Yeah. Night. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That was
All
Jake.
the yes,
All the yes. Jake Gyllenhaal is awesome. I feel like because it's like people. I think that like he kind of
Nightcrawler, that was the name.
Nightcrawler. Yeah. Because it was like, is it an X-Men movie? It's like no, it's not an X-Men movie.
Yeah,
Um,
Knight Rider felt right, but I was wrong.
I'm surprised they haven't made a Knight Rider movie though. Like all
I'm
the
gonna make it right now.
there you go. I mean, you could. I feel like if you did like the cool vaporwave '80s aesthetic with Knight Rider, I feel like you would be able to knock it out of the park. Just,
Absolutely, Ryan Gosling, if you're watching this, I want you, please.
there
I
you
know it'll be a complete knockoff of Drive, but I need you, man.
Or that could be a get like, is it the Midnight? I like get them.
The artists that I like,
Yeah,
yeah, I love them.
just go all out vaporwave Knight Rider movie.
Totally. I'm still mad that you know Tyler Lyle and uh,
Yeah,
and you haven't made a music video with him yet.
yeah. We tried when we were in college. We talked about it and talked about it and talked about it. We both it just never quite lined up. And then he came out with Werewolf, um, which was like once he got out to LA, like he really kind of like took off and everything. And I was,
Mhm.
man, Werewolf is such it's literally just him and like a bunch of people in the back of a truck just like playing the song, and it's just really good. It's really
That's
good.
cool.
But yeah,
But back to you. So, do you remember the very first film you made?
yeah. Um, yeah, my friends and I, we would in I got a camera in sixth grade, and I was on a Halloween kick. Like I could not get enough of the Halloween movies, um, and we made our own. Like I had like the Michael Myers mask and costume, and we made our own Halloween movie, and it was completely silly. Like it was, we were like, I was in like this weird place where I was like super inspired by Monty Python and like bad horror movies. Not that Halloween is a bad horror movie, but there's there's three good Halloween movies, and that's Halloween 1, Halloween 3, and the most recent Halloween. So, but I just at the time I was just in love with like bad horror movies. I didn't even realize that they were like, it wasn't like an ironic thing. I genuinely thought they were good because I was in sixth grade. Um, So we made it was like Monty Python does Halloween, but also like we're sixth graders, so there's just a lot of like fart jokes and stuff like that.
My very first film was so I remember getting my camera and at my birthday party, we made this terrible video. It's still on the internet to this day. It was called Chicken Wars, and it was just a terrible Star Wars parody with chicken puns. It was so bad. It had little to nothing to do with chickens. There wasn't a single chicken in the entire film, but we thought it was the funniest thing ever. But we had fun making it.
Yeah, that was like we had a blast. Like, you know, if I were to show somebody our Halloween film, like I'd be embarrassed the whole time. But looking back on it, like we had a blast. And actually, what's funny is that probably like I don't know, 15 years later or whatever, um, one of the guys who I made that Halloween film with actually was the lead in Numbers. So
Really?
yeah,
That's cool. What's his name?
his name's Philip. He was an actor for a long time, and I think he still does acting every now and then. But he actually designs escape rooms. I
That's
want.
cool.
Yeah, yeah, he's really great at it. He did like this like Phoebe's Taxi Escape that was like Friends themed, and like the creator of Friends was like, "Hey, this is a great escape room, like for like the 20th anniversary of Friends or whatever." But he was like play director and an actor and a really good friend. And it was really cool, like being able to make something that wasn't really bad with him. Because we made a lot of bad. Just we had fun watching them. I think my parents were kind of grinning and bearing it. They were like, I don't know, uh,
My
maybe
parents did the same thing with my first films.
yeah, and I think that's like, they never just outright were like, we don't think you're gonna make it, but I'm
I think
sure.
my parents, they were supportive of me. Definitely, like there was never a moment my parents were like, "This is really bad. Do something else."
Yeah,
Uh, they were they were really supportive with like um, pushing me in the right direction. Like, hey, like keep trying this. Like, and they would like reach out to people and be like, "Hey, my son's he wants to be a filmmaker. Can you help him out?" And I remember just doing anything that I could to be on a set or help someone out or edit a video. And those are good beginnings. And I'm still in the
yeah,
beginnings, I think.
yeah, absolutely. I'm still there, still
Mhm.
figuring it out, and happy for the last decade or whatever of professional work. But I mean, I feel like I'm just getting started. So
When do you think will be your Mount Everest? Do you see that coming anytime soon?
I don't know. I do. I feel like I'm closer every day. I just sold my first feature. Um,
Hey, that's awesome, dude.
yeah, felt really
He already
good.
told me that, but I wanted to act
Yeah,
surprised.
but I do feel like,
It's such good news.
yeah, no, it feels really good, and like it's one of those things where I'm like, I'll like find myself thinking about it because like it doesn't super feel real, and it probably won't feel real till I'm like I see it like on the internet or hold the DVD in my hand or whatever.
Mhm.
But we've been kind of grinding and just lots of long hours just getting the production company. It's called the film is called The Haunting of Grady Farm, and the production company or the distribution company that bought it is called High Octane Pictures, and it's a small like low budget film, and they buy a lot of like low budget things, but it's still it's a step. It's like it kind of I guess feels like my duel in a way. So like hopefully the thing that comes next is my Sugarland Express, and then the thing that comes after that might be my Jaws. I don't know. So
That's awesome, man. And you mentioned Numbers earlier, and Numbers is finally available. You posted it for the first time recently.
yep.
Uh, was there how long it had it been sitting on your hard drive, and you were just like, I'm just gonna post it?
Let's see. Made it a month after I got married 5 years ago. So um, we made it, and it was in post for like 6 months or whatever. And we tried to do like festivals and things like that, and so like there was still like some hangups about like posting it, and it was on Amazon Prime for like a little while. um,
That's cool.
yeah, it was cool. Amazon Prime's got a really great, or Amazon has a really great like independent um, um, filmmaker program, and you can partner with them and kind of get your stuff on there. um,
I'm
and
actually surprised by that.
yeah, no, it's
Seems
great.
like they'd be really greedy.
Yeah, I mean, it's you, and you kind of like you determine like how much your thing is worth, and they take a good bit of it, but like for me, it wasn't so much about like, because I mean, I was getting like, I think I've made probably a total of like 10 cents on that being on Amazon Prime, but I was just happy to be like, yeah, it's a thing you can put on your resume or a thing you can put on your IMDb or whatever. Um, is got a short film on Amazon Prime, and it they do have like a certain like criteria for how many views like per month, and like um, the for a while like it was hitting that criteria, but then I mean like it's a thing that independent shorts, they're not supposed to have like longevity, so like I'm not surprised that like it got pulled because it didn't get enough views, but and I'm not bummed, you know, because that means that now I can put it up, you know, it's on Vimeo and it's free and anybody can see it. So that's you know, that's what I think the goal should be, is that just making it so, you know, you want to get your stuff seen, and you know, now people can see it.
Do you want to tell anyone like what it's about? Just give like a quick elevator pitch type of thing.
Yeah, I'm bad at these. Um, it's about a guy who survived the Holocaust, and he is looking for the camp tattooist. So he's looking for the guy who like put the numbers on his arm, basically.
And that's why it's called that.
And
That's
there's,
awesome, dude. So I was also on set for this, but do you want to tell people about the film that hopefully is coming out soonish?
yeah.
It's
Giving
it's a really interesting story.
giving you that what you
Do what?
most is,
Mhm.
it's a horror drama, super inspired by kind of the A24 brand of horror filmmaking, the slow burn, you know, really high production. Um, it's about who are trying to have a baby, and they are pretty desperate. They turn to some pretty desperate. Uh, they take some pretty desperate measures to have this baby, and
Mhm.
it gets pretty crazy, very bloody.
And if you watch the film, you might recognize where Matt is because we filmed a little bit in there.
Yeah. This is I live on set.
Matt lives on a real film set. It's worth a lot of money.
All the time. I would love that. That'd be cool. Like to live on a film set or something, but you
Yeah.
know, in California or whatever.
And so another interesting aspect I think would be a really good discussion is the entire cast are females.
Mm-hmm.
When was that a conscious choice, or were you
Uh,
like, oh, this makes sense for it to be an all female cast?
yeah, I mean, it was a thing that when I was writing it, I was like, I don't know, I didn't. I had the first draft. I wrote two different drafts, and there was a man in the first draft, but I was like, and not in like any like political way. And I mean, you know, I'm just gonna come out and say it. I'm pretty liberal, whatever. But like, I don't want like,
Totally fine.
um, but I do want to, like, when I make films, I want to just, you know, make sure that they're like respectful for everybody, and that, you know, women aren't just like, I'm in danger. Of course, all the women in this film are in danger, but
Aren't we all?
yeah, but I don't know. It just like writing that draft with like the man. I was like, it just didn't feel, you know, I was like, am I brave enough to write? And not that I'm like some brave guy or whatever. Like it's not about like being able to say, look what I did. It just didn't feel like I was writing the right film. So when I did make it, I think it was Daniel, and then it became Danielle, and I was like, it was always Danielle. It's kind of like, you know, when you see a thing, you're like, oh, it was always this. Like, why was I ever thinking it wasn't this? Um, and then I had some friends read it, and I was like, this is kind of what I'm thinking, and they're like they kind of agreed. They were like, yeah, it's Danielle. It's Danielle and Ariel. Like that's who the characters are. So I was like, all right, cool. And that was like confirmation. Like, because I mean, the thing I didn't want to do was be like, just be like, oh, I can write about, you know, I can write an all women film, and then like have it like come out and people be like, yikes, maybe you shouldn't have done that. You've done us no good.
I think it's a really respectful film,
Thank you.
and I think it empowers women to a certain degree. It's not necessarily like a girl power kind of film, but it's like a very underlying theme without it being so blatant. So I think that was masterfully done, honestly.
Thank you. I hope to have it done before the quarantine is over.
So next year.
And look forward in 3 years. No, but I mean, I also, you know, I want to have, every time I finish like a film, like I want to have like a big like come together party premiere thing, and obviously that's not happening right now.
Mhm.
So I'm not, I don't want to rush it. And I mean, it's in the final stages. And so once it's done, everybody in the world will know, or at least, people who follow me on social media will know, and we'll
Yeah.
figure out a premiere and everything like that. And, everybody and their moms will be invited. My mom might be invited. She also might not be, she's going to be invited, but she might not like it. It's, she's like, you should do a happy movie. And it is,
That
but
sounds like my mom on it, because whenever I've made my horror films, um, I don't expect her to ever watch it, so I never message her. But she'll message me and she'll be like, "Why don't you do something, more cheerful and happy?"
Mhm.
Like I remember being a kid, and sometimes my mom would be like, "Hey, I'm going to the rental store and picking up a pizza. Do you want me to get you a game or anything?" And I'd be like, "This game," and then she'd like call me or something and be like, "This looks really mean. Are you sure you want to get this?" I'm like, "Mom, the only good games are mean looking."
Yeah, you got to shoot people in games or something.
Something like that. But so they say sometimes done is better than perfect. Do you hold that philosophy true with like your writing and your filmmaking?
Yes, but it's also like I'm a perfectionist, um,
Hmm.
and I'm deeply aware that my perfectionism is entirely stemmed from fear, because I'm
Hmm.
afraid that like the thing won't be good. Like I'm afraid to show somebody something because I'm afraid that they're gonna be like, this isn't good. Like the whole time, like watching like numbers, and we showed it in a theater, and I was like, they're gonna hate it. They're gonna hate it. I should have fixed something, and blah blah blah. But of course, it ended up being fantastic, and it's like I would tell people like, yeah, like just finish it, get it done. But it's hard for me to sometimes like just be like, okay, it's 100% done, um, because it's scary to show. I mean, I make films that are fairly vulnerable for myself, and so um, it's scary to like invite people into that, um,
Hmm.
because you don't like that was stupid. That was, I just that's you're just and no one is ever, even if somebody like doesn't like it, like they're not going to come up to you and be like, I didn't like that. Um, so like there really should be like no fear in like that, but it's definitely like I've got a project um, that has been going on for way too long at this point. It's called All Things Must Pass, and it's a series of shorts that are kind of like thematically similar. Um, and a big part of the reason that it's not quite done yet is just because like I'm like kind of like afraid to be like, okay, I'm done, because I want like there's that drive inside me that's like it needs to be perfect, it needs to be flawless, and it needs to be like no, it needs to be like nobody can say that it like wasn't like perfect or whatever. And of course, it's there's no such thing as a perfect film, and we should be striving for like good storytelling and good think like we shouldn't have to worry about um, we should sorry, starting over.
You're good.
What we should be seeking is artistic satisfaction, not other people's praise. um, but like some it's that's like easy for you to say, but it is like that is ultimately like that feels way better, like having a thing made and done and out that you are proud of. um, that is way more important than like somebody being like that was amazing. Obviously praise feels good, and like if you do a good job, if I think that you've done a good job, I should give you praise. Um, but ultimately it is like that like deep internal satisfaction that is going to be what keeps like you creating art.
Yeah. Whole crowd stands up. Have you ever had anyone just come up to you and flat out tell you like, yeah, that sucked? Have you ever had anyone just tell you flat out criticism that was uncalled for?
Um, not like your movie was bad. Um,
Hmm.
um, but I did have somebody like at the premiere of Numbers like give me notes on it, and I was like,
Not the place.
move on, move on. And it was
He just
not.
hands you like a whole notebook and it's like all filled. It's like, I don't think you were watching the movie.
It was just like, like to make it more effective, it could. And I was like, shut up, no. I that was like that was one of the, like because I was feeling like really good, and so I was just like it was one of the rare times where I just kind of shut somebody down, like because like if he has like something like I'm gonna listen to or whatever, but um yeah, I was just like, yeah, no, I'm good. Not the time. Send me an email.
It's like tonight is a celebration and just to talk about the film, not things that you found wrong or you think you could have done better.
Yeah. So it's like I could point out, everything that I think is wrong with it. That's the other game we play is like when you watch like old films that you're like, okay, like because like we grow, we keep getting better and we
Hmm.
keep telling better stories, and our visuals keep getting better, and our editing keeps getting better. So like yeah, like being able to watch like an old film through the lens of like, yeah, I wasn't able to do the things I can do now back then, um, and not saying like, oh man, this isn't good because I'm better. Like it's like, no, this is it's good. Let it be good,
Hmm.
let it be done, let it be good, move on. You know.
And, people have asked me because I post a lot of 1 minute films for like Instagram and
Yeah.
I hope we get into this, but the Thunderdome challenges. Um, and I actually had one of my buddies, Austin. He was like, "When are you going to put out something longer?" And almost nothing that I put out last year was longer than 4 minutes.
Yeah.
Everything was like either a minute. Um, our film, the neighborhood, was like I think 3.5, maybe. I can't remember.
Yeah.
Um, but I was like, you know what? This was kind of like me, testing out things, trying out as many things as I could, and like I'm putting out. I filmed 2 documentaries recently, and I hope that I can finish them and just to show people like, hey, I can make something longer than 1 minute.
Yeah.
So it's just like my way of growing, and so I guess my next question is like, what's your process for just sitting down and being like, I want to improve. This is how I want to improve. And then you just kind of like jump into it.
Yeah. I think
I hope my question made sense.
yeah, I think it did. It's because it
Okay.
like I know that there's things that I could get better at, and one way to definitely measure like if I'm getting better at something is like a drafting process, like where like the first draft is okay, cool, I see what I'm doing, or and then the next draft like I can like pick up on like, oh, I don't like so like a script, like I wrote a feature a couple years ago, and it went through like, I don't know, 12 drafts or something like that, um, and like yeah, like the first draft was really long, um, not a whole lot of character development, and maybe not the most realistic dialogue, and kind of like going through, and then even like I think a big part of like the growth process, and like to talk about the Thunderdome a little bit, is like sharing something that's unfinished with people that like you trust, and to say, hey, I would love to get like some feedback, like really good feedback on this, like if there's something that you just straight up think is garbage, um, let me know. um, Thanks, Chase.
Me or Matt Chase? Keep going, Matt.
But so like when I finish like a draft, I'll send it to some people that I trust, like with with not only my films but also like my life, like a guy like Isaac Dietz, the founder of the Thunderdome, and just a really great filmmaker, really great friend, really great human person. Love that dude to death. And
By the way, he's going to be a guest on Friday, hopefully, so stay tuned for that.
Woo!
But sorry, keep going.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. He's knowledgeable, and he's good at talking.
Mhm.
But yeah, sending it to people and just like and then like I sometimes I wanna hear their feedback in person to like see like okay, what were some parts that you really liked, and then they talk about those parts, and if they're like lighting up, I'm like, okay, cool, I've got something. And if they're like kind of reserved about something, it's like, okay, this is an area that needs to be fleshed out. And usually I kind of know what areas that need to be fleshed out, but it's nice to hear it from other people too. And that's every process. If I've got like when I'm finally comfortable with people seeing, giving you that what you want most, I'll send it around to people and just kind of get some feedback. Just, what are some areas like right now there's a pretty complicated scene, and right now it's just a lot of cuts and not the best cuts right now, and I'm aware of that. But once I kind of get that smoothed out, I kind of send it to people. Same thing with I'm trying to write a feature right now. And once I get like that first draft done, like I'll read it. One of my biggest people to read things is my wife, because she's actually it's good, I think, to have somebody that you trust who's not a filmmaker, because most of your audience is not filmmakers. So you want to make sure that people who aren't filmmakers, that it works for people who aren't filmmakers, because that's 95% of your audience, people who don't necessarily know all the ins and outs of filmmaking. And my wife has picked up a good bit of filmmaking knowledge. She could actually probably make her own pretty good film. But
Lene's a great producer.
she's a really great producer, really great assistant director, mom, band director, everything. But she is able to be like, this part doesn't really make sense, because sometimes in your filmmaker brain you're like, okay, this will make sense, and like even filmmakers will be like, oh yeah, I was able to see that going on. But like an audience member might be like, yeah, I don't really follow that. I don't really see what you were doing with this. Or even like sometimes like this line's kind of like I remember, like I feel like I always have like one like really weird line in like every script, and I end up pulling it out because Lene is like, I don't understand why this line is in here. It's like, all right, cool. Then it does. It's if it's not gonna work, it's not gonna work. I had lofty dreams for this line, but yeah. So definitely like I try to write as much as possible, and like I write a lot, like just a lot of thoughts, a lot of ideas for film, stuff like that. Because I think that like film really does start in like the writing process. So I think that good acting can elevate a bad script, but you'd rather have good acting elevate a great script. And then, unfortunately, bad acting can make a great script seem really bad, but it will be better than if you have a bad script, I guess. I don't know, but it's good. I think like most of the time I see a movie and I don't like it, it's because I'm like, it's script level stuff, and I'm like, that's the easiest thing to do is get a good. Not that it's easy to write a good script, but it costs nothing to write a script. So like I get bad CGI, and I kind of unfortunately get bad acting, and I get like bad editing, stuff like that. But like bad writing, it's like you have all the time in the world like to write a script, like and it you don't have to worry about the budget for the script. You don't have to worry about it's just, you don't need, like, the budget for the script is the paper it's printed on. So you might as well like make it really good.
I watched a film criticism on the beloved Seth MacFarlane's A Million Ways to Die in the West. And it's not my favorite movie in the world, but I watched a guy, he was talking about the script, and he was like, it's really not that bad. He
Yeah.
said, it's just honestly Seth MacFarlane. He did everything in the movie, and he's actually a talented writer,
Hmm.
but his ego got in the way, and he was like, I got to star in the film and direct and stuff like that. And then he like compared it to a scene with Chris Farley, and it's a scene. I think it's in Black Sheep. Have you seen that movie?
Mhm.
The scene where he's like in the office and he's talking about breaks, and he's just like, I can't stop. And so he played that scene, and he's like, if I were to type that out, it's not that funny.
Right.
That's all in the performance. Like Chris Farley like gave it his all in that performance to elevate the script. And I think that's a great example of, how, a script or bad acting or good acting can elevate a decent script.
Mhm.
So, and one of my favorite films of all time is Ghostbusters. And
My
I
favorite.
read the script a few weeks or months ago, and I was like, it's really not that great. Like, it didn't blow me away, but obviously I was reading it from the perspective of like, oh my gosh, I'm going to read this and I'm going to laugh just as hard as I did at the film.
Right.
And to my surprise, it was just like a very standard script. It wasn't bad. It was
Yeah.
just kind of like, really? This is it?
I feel that way like about comedy because like it's hard to write comedy. Um,
hmm
um, but then like if you give like something to a comedian, like who knows what they wrote for like Chris Farley just completely losing his mind, you know,
They
with,
probably literally wrote Chris Farley loses his mind.
yeah, but like or even like, communicating like a visual gag or something like that. Like one of my favorite gags in Ghostbusters is where they're on the elevator and they power up for the first time and everyone starts like kind of scooting away from I think it's Harold Ramis and Bill Murray, like they turn on Dan Aykroyd's proton pack and then they start like subtly like scooting.
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about.
If you read that you're like, okay, yeah, that makes sense, but their performance, like it's one of those things where I think the first time I noticed it was actually like I never noticed it as a kid because I think I was just like Ghostbusters, yeah. But like as an adult, you start to like really like watch films, and like absorb like what's going on, um, and seeing them, I was like, oh my, like what, and who knows, like that might not have even been in the script, but it was just like them to be like, yeah, this is like, it's the idea of like you're stuck in an elevator which is very small, and if something goes wrong, like there's no chance of, any. Like, there's still kind of like it's that funny, like it's a funny moment, and I mean Ghostbusters is full of things like that because I mean like
And
what
it's also like it's just funny because like backing up 4 feet in an elevator will do nothing.
right exactly, these are like the smartest people on like and I love that it's a film about like smart people, like they're not like idiots, they're not like
hmm
oh Ghostbusters, like they're like smart people, but they made like smart funny, and it's a smart movie, it's a funny movie, but it's
Yeah.
funny
And
that
they do a good job of like showing the characters that they're smart,
Mhm,
and that lets the writers be like, okay, they can be dumb in these moments. Like
exactly.
them backing up in the elevator or Bill Murray's like wisecracks. Like,
Uh-huh.
I mean, if you didn't watch the beginning of the movie and you watch like, certain scenes on YouTube, you might be like, Bill Murray's kind of he's dumb. And then but as a whole, you're like, Bill Murray's a genius in this movie.
Yeah, he's great, and
Mhm.
he's so. I mean, like what a great cast coming together. Like you know, Bill Murray, Dan Aykroyd, Ivan Reitman directed it. Harold Ramis, and then like Sigourney Weaver, who is not like a comedic actress. Like, and of
And
course,
she's funny in it.
yeah,
She's really good.
there is no zoo, or there is no like, all that. Like, it's such a great,
Mhm.
and like I love the concept because like I love in 2020 we're like super used to the concept of Ghostbusters, but like I'm imagining like the pitch meeting, and it's like imagine like bug exterminators, like they're like roach killers, but they're doing it for ghosts, and I think that's like what a great like
I feel like that's all they had to say, and the studio was like, "Here, take all of this."
there's a really good like documentary on like the making of Ghostbusters, on
I
the
wanna watch it now. I didn't even know that existed.
the movies that made us on Netflix. They have an episode on Ghostbusters, and it's
Oh my gosh.
it's
That's
really
awesome.
interesting like how they made it and built it, and like all the stuff they went through to kind of get it off the ground.
And speaking of visual gags, one of my other favorite ones in Blues Brothers, I literally have the poster right up here in my room. It's my favorite comedy ever. Um, it's it's Dan Aykroyd and John Belushi. They're like walking down the street, and it's like kind of like a quick little montage, and the it's playing this like really cool like blues riff. It's going like do 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 do, and then you're just like in your mind, these guys are the coolest dudes of all time, and they're going back to their apartment. Carrie Fisher pulls out a rocket launcher, shoots the apartment down, and all comes tumbling down. The Blues Brothers like emerge from the debris. The music's completely cut out. No words are spoken. They just kind of
Yep.
do 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 do. Absolutely brilliant. And I kind of want to do like a video essay on that. Like talk about I almost want to recreate that scene and call the video like how a modern comedy would have done like this scene. And in my eyes, a modern comedy, Carrie Fisher, same scene, she shoots the building down. Blues Brothers emerge, and but instead of walking off and being, way more subtle, they go, "Oh my God, what the was that? Holy crap, what's going on? What are we doing here? Who did this?" And they do that for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
That's what a modern comedy, but like I don't know, like it feels like older comedies were the kings of subtlety.
Oh yeah. No, it's like subtle, very visual, because like
Mhm.
humor does change, but like if you can get like a comedy from like a couple years ago that is, and Blues Brothers absolutely stands the test of time. It's my favorite. It's not my favorite comedy, but it's my favorite musical movie. It's not like a musical, but like, so instead of saying musical, I would say like music movie or whatever. And I mean, it's Chicago, and so every time I watch it, I get a little bit uh, homesick for Chicago. But yeah, I mean, like, I love
I
like,
forgot that was in Chicago.
yeah, yeah.
That's
They're
awesome.
the address they give is the address to Wrigley Field, like and like Cubs fans like hear that and they're like, wait a second, like, and then of course there's the gag where like the cops all pull up to Wrigley Field, and there's this, you know, like the mall chase, like, you know, driving a high speed chase through a shopping.
Also the most brilliant product placement in movie history. Just, hey, watch out for you're gonna hit this. That's just genius. Like it's almost like looking straight at the camera and being like, these guys are sponsoring us. This is how we're able to afford this chase scene, and it's so expensive.
It's so good. Oh, I love it. I love it.
And like it handles cool, it handles absurdism so well. I'm looking at the camera.
I am too.
I'm sorry, my buddy Heath told me to look at the camera right now. What do you want from me, Heath? But yeah, like it's such a great comedy, dude. And uh, oh yeah, another one that you mentioned to me a while back was Annie Hall, and I still have never even seen that. What's so great about that one?
I think that as a writer, Annie Hall is very um, appealing to me. I think that Annie Hall is the best script ever of and comedy.
Mhm.
Comedy, I think it's the best written film ever, um, and it goes places and it does things that, like, I guess you could say, like, takes balls to do. I don't want to give anything away, but I highly recommend it. I think it's got to be on one of the streaming services, or $2 or whatever.
Surely, literally the only two things I know about it is, Woody Allen made it and wrote it,
Mhm.
and it beat Star Wars for Best Picture that year,
Yeah,
which is mind blowing. I didn't know that until a couple of years ago.
yeah, yeah. It's like, and walking away, like, obviously Star Wars found more of an audience and found more legs or whatever, but like
Hmm.
Annie Hall is a wonderful script, and it's funny, and it's silly, and it's like super smart. Um, it breaks the fourth wall a couple times, which is always like if you can get like really smart like fourth wall breaks in your film, because it like on paper, Annie Hall is like about a couple who like they date and they break up, and it's kind of just about that. And it's like, oh, that's every movie ever. Um, but there's a whole lot more to it than just like the couple like dating and breaking up, and then it's I
What
think
would you say is a smart, like, how do you do a fourth wall break, cleverly and with good taste? Because I feel like it's starting to get overdone, especially with like the popularity of Deadpool.
sure, yeah, and Deadpool actually like because you expect it and it's kind of obvious like I remember when Deadpool, like I'm gonna sound like a art jerk for a second, but like I got like pretty into Deadpool like before like the movies came out, and it was like this like it was kind of fun to be on the inside with Deadpool. And now like every like I think Deadpool's fun. Like I've seen them. I've only seen each one once, but they're fun. Um, but like you kind of I think a really great fourth wall break happens when you don't expect it. And with Deadpool, like it's like you go in and unless you don't really know the character Deadpool, then you're like, oh, we're gonna get lots of fourth wall breaks. It's gonna be like basically like an interactive movie where like it's like Deadpool turns the camera. And it's basically like, hey guys, I'm Ryan Reynolds, and this is a movie. Whereas like and I don't know if the advertising for Annie Hall was like, oh, by the way, you're gonna get some fourth wall breaks. But like
There probably was little to no advertising for that movie.
yeah, it was probably just like a trailer that was like Annie Hall coming this summer, something like that.
Dude, old movie trailers are so weird.
Yeah,
Like, have you seen the original one for Star Wars? It
yeah,
has like nothing to do with Star Wars. It's just like
yeah,
Star Wars coming to a galaxy near you.
yeah,
And it's
with
just like, what?
weird voice. A ragtag group of people save the universe. Summer 1977.
I think that's where like the cheesy movie voice came from, was those time periods.
In a time. Yeah,
Now,
but
if you do that, your movie probably won't do well.
it's like
You almost have to spell out the plot in the trailer now.
yeah, you need a lot of like
Boom.
one last slow shot. Um,
My favorite sound effect is like the really subtle. It sounds like it has a low pass effect on it. It goes, mm.
oh, that's like the new time, or like the single piano note.
Oh, dong.
The
It'll
Avengers.
go like, dong.
Hmm.
There was a time. I think Avengers Endgame did that, and it was awesome.
Yeah, we're actually we're watching through all of the Marvel movies during the lockdown. We just hit Iron Man 3, and it was a lot of fun. It's fun. It's fun. I mean, like I they're not my favorite movies, but they're a lot of fun, and I enjoy them. They're good date movies, and they're good like have fun. Popcorn movies. They're fun popcorn movies, and they're not brainless. So
Yeah. I Me and Chase were talking about this the other day, or actually literally today we were talking about Endgame. Somebody tweeted the spoilers, but Captain America gets Thor's hammer.
mhm.
Honestly, that's one of my all-time favorite scenes.
Yeah,
Just because like the emotion in it. Like I don't think I've ever stood up in a theater and applauded. Like normally if anyone claps for a movie after the movie's over in a theater, I'm just like, please die. I hope you trip over this whole staircase and you die. But that was the one time that I was like, I'm joining everyone in applause because that was just like an experience.
yeah,
And but the conversation I was having with Chase is like, Marvel movies get a lot of shit because, especially with the whole Martin Scorsese thing saying they're not cinema. In my opinion, they're just as much cinema as Taxi Driver or anyone or any other movie. But like movies are supposed to give you emotion and they're supposed to make you feel something. And almost every Marvel movie, except for like Iron Man 2 and Thor, The Dark World and Captain Marvel, they all like made me feel something.
hmm
And Endgame is like no exception. Like
Yeah,
That movie,
I think I cried
I
the
just
whole time.
yeah, it was. It's just a ride, and I love that. You can make fun of that they're the most successful movie franchise, or they're not artistic like A24 or Martin Scorsese, but I think they're still films, and they deserve respect. In my opinion, they're well made, and people put a lot of love and a lot of time into them.
Yeah, well said.
Thanks. And now sports with Matt Dickstein. Have you seen John Krasinski's Some Good News?
I have not, but I'm um, for potentially obvious or not obvious reasons. I obviously want. I would very much like to watch the most recent one. Um,
It's really good.
yeah, I saw the like the scrolly clip on silent, and it was like it started with like uh trying to think of their names, but I mean, it, seeing all the Hamilton cast like sign in and sign in and
Yeah,
sign in, David.
that does happen, and it is one of the best things I've seen all year. It's really sweet.
I really,
But
man.
the reason I randomly thought of it was there's a part where John Krasinski's like, and now Robert De Niro with the weather, and it just cuts to Robert De Niro, and he's just like, looks pretty good, and then it just cuts back to John Krasinski.
That's awesome.
The other thing I think you'll appreciate this is uh, you can tell John Krasinski is just full dad now because almost all of the good news that he reports, like, or not all of it, but a lot of it has to do with like parents and raising small children in a house,
Right.
and it's really sweet. It's a good distraction from all the shit that's going on in the world.
Sure. We need that. We need that. So I'll probably check those out. Feel good.
Yeah, yeah, it's always a great thing. Let's talk about your family. So I know that's your favorite subject, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
We're good.
so how are you guys holding up during this whole thing?
Yeah, we're holding up. I mean, we're both still working, and then having a small baby who is like she's in like full on explore mode, but she isn't quite balanced. So like she can stand up with like support for like a few moments, but then of course she falls, and if she falls in the wrong way, she kind of hits her head or hurts herself, and it's definitely finding the balance of like getting work done and making sure that my daughter doesn't fall off of something. Um, she doesn't understand why mom and dad are home 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and I'm happy to like not have a daughter who like is like I really feel for like people who have like older kids who are like, what if we get it? What if and because like the parents are probably thinking those exact same questions, but they have to like stay strong. I mean, like I definitely have a lot of anxiety. It's like every time I get out, I'm like, what if somebody coughs on me or but just kind of
That is a scary thing. Like
yeah,
I try my best not to go to Walmart or anything. I mean, me and Chase literally went to Target today to grab something, but it sucks that people are still downplaying this and not taking it seriously and
yeah,
just prolonging things being closed and things shutting down. So
I'm
I don't understand it. It's just like, man, I want to go out, but like, why can't I go out?
like
Like, just don't go out. Like,
just
it's not that hard.
start your own internet talk show.
Yeah, do exactly what I did.
But yeah, no, I mean, I'm definitely like antsy to get back to
Hmm.
normal life, but I want to do it in like a smart and healthy way. And I mean, like my wife is a teacher, and they have officially decided to move to online classes for the rest of the semester. Like they're not gonna open up the schools.
I do not think her school is alone in that. I think a lot
Yeah,
of schools are doing that.
I think I mean I know that there was a couple of states that just they were just like we're doing it, pulling the plug.
Bah.
Georgia was a little bit slow. Georgia's a little slow on everything. That's okay. I don't know. I mean, I guess for this kind of thing, it might not necessarily be okay. But that's another conversation for another time. But And it's hard. My wife is, you can learn math. There is always going to be a challenge of like trying to learn something when you're not in the room with the person teaching you. Um,
Hmm.
but you can learn math, you can learn science, you can learn like literature, language arts, or whatever. In that way, you cannot learn band. You cannot, on like you can't learn trumpet online. I mean, maybe, but like you can't learn like ensemble trumpet online. You can't learn like you know things like
Everybody play now in the Zoom meeting.
that. Exactly. So she's gonna have her work kind of. She's able to give assignments, but basically like you know they are missing on basically 2 months of classroom instruction for band, while still keeping assignment
Hmm.
with that. But she's gonna have a tough time come August to be like, all right, where did we, we're this group of people is going to be 2 months behind, every other group of people that she's going to have, like, everybody, I think that like there's like policies out there that are like, you can't fail kids right now because it's tough, it's hard. Um, Parents are, it's just, there's just a lot of, craziness, and things are, I don't know, things are hard, and it's going to take a minute to get back into whatever, and who knows if things are ever going to be whatever the same is or normal or whatever. I guess we're going to have it.
There's a lot of uncertainty in the world,
Yeah.
and for some people, that's their biggest fear is uncertainty, and seeing that fear come alive like all across the world is honestly insane. Even for me, like I mean, me and you, we work at the same
uh,
place, and it seems pretty secure right now. And but it's not 100% secure.
right.
Um, I think just about any job is like there's no
Yeah,
100% secure job.
sure. I'm sure
But
everybody who's working from home right now is working with like, when's it, just kind of waiting for the hammer to drop or whatever. Like, when's it all coming?
yeah, so I mean, I pray that doesn't happen to anyone. I know a lot of people have been laid off.
Hmm.
A couple of my friends have texted me and they're like, "Hey man, just got laid off. Anywhere I could work?" And that's just such a scary text to get. It's just
Yeah.
people got to pay bills and people got to live. Like you need money to live.
Yeah.
So I'm I hope this is a lesson learned for America.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. I don't want to get political with this whole thing.
Fair.
We were talking about movies and Jaws and Ghostbusters. Let's go back to that.
To kind of like give like a positive, I mean, I don't know how positive people are going to be, but like right now
Mhm.
people are turning to the arts, and in the Great Depression, um, the movie industry, I'm sure it struggled a little bit, but it didn't fold in on itself because people still were like, stuff is hard right now, but you know what? I'm going to go see a movie because I don't want to think about my troubles for 2 hours. So, like,
And we're in a golden age of content. Like,
yeah,
I mean, please be healthy with your consumptions, but we're at a place where you could literally distract yourself for an entire day and weeks at a time.
hmm,
So I think that's what's beautiful about what we can do. And I live in a house with 5 people. Like we're trying to make more content. Like while we're here, just to make art and be creative. But a lot of artists they feel stuck because I mean a lot of people live at home. Thankfully, you have an amazing star in your house. Your child, like you can make 600 films, and I think people would watch them. Cute baby.
I should make like a documentary about like growing up growing up a baby during the corona.
That would be really do like a boyhood kind of movie. Just make it a 20-year movie with Evelyn. That would be amazing.
Get together every year.
Yeah. I've actually have not seen that movie too. I didn't even know if it was it good.
I liked it.
Interesting.
It was very interesting. It was almost more of like a documentary than like a film, but I mean it was
Really?
scripted. It was, but it's just like, because there's not like a narrative to it necessarily. So much as the narrative is like, watch this guy grow up, like go from being, 2 years old or whatever. I don't remember exactly where it starts, but go from, I mean, you watch the growth, you watch the change, and so like that is kind of like the story is like him coming to like maturity, but like it's not like, here's the conflict, here's the resolution kind of thing. It's just sort of like its own, and it's interesting like when it changes, and there, like wow, that year changed a lot or whatever. But like there is like it's really well made and it's really well done. And yeah, I mean it's for me it was very relatable, because I was roughly like close. I was a little bit older than the character was, but still like very much like grew up in like that same like 90s 2000s period. So I was like, this looks like my growing up, and going to school and like,
Yeah.
So yeah, I liked it.
That's cool.
I recommend it.
But hey, let's I think we're gonna start wrapping this up, but I think let's just wrap it up by like, what are you watching right now during this quarantine? Give me 5 things you think everybody should watch during this crazy time.
Well, obviously I've seen Tiger King.
I have not. I need to watch that.
It's a wild ride. Yeah. We're watching through the MCU. That's been a lot of fun. And then I am kind of on my own watching Monty Python's Flying Circus. I've never just gone through and watched the whole series. So I'm a couple episodes into season 2 and I'm loving that. And then I've started watching, it's like sort of like if they turned Animaniacs into like a superhero. It was like a 90s TV show called Freakazoid.
Yes, I love that show. Freakazoid,
Yeah.
Freakazoid,
Yeah.
Freakazoid.
Yeah, I've been watching.
Those are some of the best theme songs.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Animaniacs, Freakazoid, Pinky and the Brain, all 3 bangers.
Yeah, just Warner Brothers just knew what they were doing back then.
Oh yeah.
So.
Yeah, those are some really good picks. But Matt Dickstein, everybody. If I had a sound effects little panel thing, I'd play a pause for you, man. But yeah, go check out his stuff. Like Numbers is available. Is there anything else you want people to watch?
Pretty much everything is on idiomotionfilms.com. That's my production company. And yeah, that's that's it.
Cool. Well, dude, I had a really good time. Hope I can have you on again in the future. This was fun.
I'm more than so. It felt like we were actually hanging out.
Yeah, it really did. So now we can actually hang out after I hit end broadcast. You can tell me everything you didn't want to say on this stream. I'm just kidding. All right. See you later, man.
See you, man.